Good day! In this video, we will be talking about the legal basis for the Philippine laws for persons with disabilities. Law number 1, the BP 344 1983 or the Accessibility Law. It is an act to enhance the mobility of disabled persons by requiring certain buildings, institutions, establishments, and public utilities to install facilities and other devices. It also requires sidewalks to not be less than 1.2 meters or 4 feet wide and obstructed by utility poles and other street furniture to allow the easy passage of a person using a wheelchair, with enough room for a person without disabilities to pass. Number 2, we have RA 7277 1992, or also known as the Magna Carta for Disabled Persons. It is an act for the rehabilitation, self-development, and self-reliance of disabled persons and their integration into the mainstream of society and for other purposes. The Law number 3, RA 9442, 2007, Policies and Objectives. It is the objective of Republic Act number 9442 to provide persons with disability the opportunity to participate fully into the mainstream of society by granting them at least 20% discount in all basic services. Law number 4, we have NCDA Administrative Order number 001, Section 2008. 001, Series of 2008, a person with disability identification card or PWD IDC, which serves as the standard national identification card for PWS, shall be the basis for the entitlement of privileges provided for under the Magna Carta for persons with disability, as amended. The fifth law, we have Republic Act 10070-2010. The main objectives of our Republic Act 10070 is to ensure that policies, programs, and services for persons with disabilities are implemented at local level for them to fully participate in building an inclusive society for all.
Republic Act number 10366, Series of 2013. An act authorizing the Commission on Elections to establish precincts assigned to accessible polling places exclusively for persons with disabilities and senior citizens. The COMELEC is the principal government agency tasked by the Constitution to enforce and administer all laws and regulations concerning the conduct of regular and special elections. It is a body that is designed to be constitutionally independent from the executive, legislative, and judicial branches of government to ensure the conduct of free, fair, and honest elections. During the proclamation of Senator-elect, the Philippine Commission on Elections, or known as COMELEC, chair cited that there were over 300,000 people with disabilities and senior citizens who were able to vote at the ground floors of voting centers in the elections. During the proclamation of senators-elect, the Philippine Commission on Election, or COMELEC chair, cited that there were over 300,000 people with disabilities and senior citizens who were able to vote at the ground floors of voting centers in the elections. He also mentioned the efforts of the COMELEC in making the voting process accessible and convenient for PWDs. The COMELEC is mandated to keep a record of senior citizens and PWDs who are registered voters. So they were the one who will conduct the record of the PWDs and senior citizens during the elections. Also, they are the one who coordinate with the local government units or LGUs, the National Council for Disability Affairs or NCDA, the Commission on Human Rights or CHR, the Department of Health or also known as DOH, and the Department of Interior and Local Government or DILG. To design a registration system that will allow senior citizens and PWDs to register an OPT for early voting in order to improve their voting experience in national and local elections. Moreover, the COMELEC shall ensure the full implementation of Republic Act number 10366, or also known as an act authorizing the Commission on Elections to establish precincts assigned to accessible polling places exclusively for persons with disabilities and senior citizens, such that polling places for senior citizens and PWDs are safe, highly accessible, and fitted with the necessary communication, visual and physical aids, and other forms of assistance where senior citizens and PWDs may be able to cast their vote with ease. Ahead of Election Day, COMELEC set up over 5,000 accessible polling places, or also known as apps, across the country. This is a significant milestone for the disability sector and advocates in 2013. There were only 2 assigned apps for PWDs and senior citizens, voters in the entire country. In 2013, President Aquino signed Republic Act number 10366 authorizing COMELEC to establish apps for persons with disability and senior citizens in preparation for presidential elections. Since 2011, the Asia Foundation and the Australian Aid have been working to increasingly the participation of people with disabilities in electoral and democratic process through the Fully Abled Nation or FUN project. In addition to the 5,000 PWD accessible polling stations, COMELEC introduced in these elections new emergency accessible polling places or EAPs in over 250 polling stations where voting took place in multi-level buildings. EAPs are regular polling places that feature an accessible room on the ground floor in case PWDs, senior citizens, and heavily pregnant women who may have not registered at a designed accessible polling place come there on election day instead. Proclamation number 688 series of 2013, declaring the period of 2013 to 2022 as the Philippine Decade of Make the Right Real for persons with disabilities or PWDs. The Philippine delegation adopted a ministerial declaration of the ASEAN and Pacific Decade of Persons with Disabilities 2013 to 2022 and the Incheon Strategy to Make the Right Real for Persons with Disabilities in ASEA and the Pacific. And during the National Council of Disability Affairs, regional consultations with organizations of persons with disabilities, the observance of a third decade of persons with disabilities for period of 2013 to 2022 was recommended to build on the gains towards disability inclusive development. The National Council for Disability Affairs or NCDA as lead in the formulation of a comprehensive national plan of action for the decade. The NCDA, in collaboration with government agencies and instrumentalities, LGUs, civil society organizations, organizations of and for persons with disabilities, has adopted the Incheon Strategy on Disability. So as days, months, years had passed, The strategy of the NCHN was adopted by the different organizations or group in our country. And for those who have disabilities and from various ministries, civil society organization and people with disabilities will have the opportunity to assess the state of disability inclusive development in the area and chart a course that will ensure the people with disabilities are included and empowered in all aspects of sustainable development. Republic Act Number 10524, Series of 2013, an act expanding the position reserved for persons with disability. So under this act, persons with disability or PWDs or individuals who suffer long-term physical, mental, intellectual, or sensory impairments which, upon interaction with various barriers, may hinder their full and effective participation in society on an equal basis with others. So this act provides equal opportunity for employment even if they are disabled. If they are suitable in that position or have the opportunity to be part of that job, then they shall not be denied because they deserve to be a part of it. They deserve to play their role as a person, as a human. A qualified employee with disability shall be subject to the same terms and conditions of employment and the same compensation, privilege, benefits, fringe benefits, incentives, or allowance as a qualified able-bodied person. The barriers is not a hindrance for a disabled person for their effective interaction and participation. If they think they can do it, why not give them the opportunity and let them take that position and do the work as what you do. Also, this law mandates the government to reserve at least 1% of all positions in its agencies, offices, or corporations for PWDs. So aside from PWDs, the equal opportunity for employment principles also applies to other marginalized groups in the country, such as members of indigenous community and people and diverse sexual orientation, gender identities and expression, or also called as SOGI. Also, the Civil Service Commission's latest rules on appointment explicitly ban discrimination in the selection of employees on disability and other criteria such as age, sexual orientation, civil status, religion, ethnicity, and political affiliation. Republic Act Number 10754, Series of 2016, Act expanding the benefits and privileges of person with disability or PWD and the execution of its implementing rules and regulations. It aims to grant persons with disability at least 20% discount and exemption from the value-added tax on the sale of certain goods and services identified under Republic Act Number 9442 for the exclusive use, enjoyment, or availment of persons with disability. Persons with disability or PWDs have persistently expressed their need for inclusion and to be given equal footing in society. Recognizing the constitutional mandate to protect their rights, the government enacted Republic Act Number 944 and 10754, or also known as the Magna Carta for Persons with Disability, and an act expanding the benefits and privileges of persons with disability or PWD. So the main objectives of these laws are to provide PWDs with the opportunity to participate in mainstream society and to support their total well-being. All establishments shall place signages in conspicuous areas within their premises to inform persons with disability that they are entitled to the 20% discount and VAT exemption. For example, when a person who are disabled go to a doctor or for checkup, and he or she shows their card indicating that they are PWD, they can guarantee the 20% of the said total of their billing because they can avail the discount of the benefits that being mandated by the law. Persons with disability shall be entitled to the grant of 20% discount and VAT exemption on the purchase of certain goods and services from all establishments for their exclusive use, enjoyment, or availment, provided, however, that the purchase of such goods and services from sellers that are not subject to the value-added tax or VAT shall be subject to the applicable percentage tax. For this purpose, subsequent purchases by persons with disability on the same day from the same establishment shall still be subjected to 20% discount and VAT exemption. Republic Act Number 11228, Series of 2019, an act providing for the mandatory PhilHealth coverage for all persons with disability or PWDs. Amending for the purpose Republic Act Number 7277 as amended, otherwise known as the Magna Carta for persons with disability. More importantly, under the new law, the PhilHealth shall also be developed exclusive packages for PWDs that will address their specific health and development needs. PWDs whose names are recorded in the Philippine Registry of Persons with Disability or PRPWD in their respective local government units or LGUs shall be automatically covered with PhilHealth. Those PWDs are not registered in the PRPWD shall be issued a certificate of indigency upon assessment as financially incapable by their municipal social welfare office and shall be included as financially incapable or FI members of PhilHealth. Based on the different types of disability, whether it's physical, mental, or psychological, PWDs are now given the assurance that the services and interventions they need will now be more accessible to them. For example, people with autism, especially children on the spectrum depending on the severity of their autism, need occupational therapy, behavioral therapy, speech therapy, one-on-one learning sessions, and the like. These services are now quite costly and an average income family certainly cannot afford to provide this to their children with autism. It would be a great help and relief for us to have these services also covered in full or in a certain percentage whatever the law may permit. Above all, the enactment of the Republic Act 11228 is indeed a great blessing to all PWDs. It does not only give them the equality and equity to medical services and interventions, but it also gives the assurance that the government highly prioritizes their inclusion and acceptance in the society.
So that's the end of our report. Thank you and God bless.